What is up, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And as you can see by the attire that I'm wearing today, get you a close up for those of you who are new to it. Today is a day where we celebrate the tribal chief, the head of the table, the longest reigning WWE champion in this modern era and of many eras, the tribal chief himself, right there, Roman Reigns. So, before we get started, let's point our fingers up and let's acknowledge the tribal chief. By the way, I do not think the that Roman Reigns is behind the orders of Tonga. I think that one right there, who's another favorite of mine, is behind that. That being The Rock. But today we celebrate Roman Reigns. And for the past 2 years, you have seen me give commentary and reviews on my top 10 favorite Roman Reigns heel matches. Parts 1 and parts 2 from the past couple of years are already up. I will link them up to you. But for right now, today, we are going to do something a little bit different because today we are going to take a look at some of my favorite face versions of Roman Reigns matches. So let's get started with that. First, at number 10, we start by the man who celebrated his heavenly birthday a couple of days ago, the man we still miss, Bray Wyatt. By the way, as I mentioned, a couple of days ago, 48 hours ago, was Bray's day, and I have a list of my favorite Bray Wyatt matches. Be sure to check that out. But for now, let's talk about Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt at Hell in a Cell 2015. This whole thing started because of a phrase, anyone but you, Roman, which would eventually lead them to fighting at Hell in a Cell. And it was a great Hell in a Cell match to me. It was one of the two Hell in a Cell matches, the second being Brock versus The Undertaker. But we saw kendo sticks, chairs. I believe we saw chairs. But one thing I do remember is kendo sticks spearing Bray Wyatt through a table as well as through the ring. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think Bray Wyatt got poked when he was thrown headfirst into a pointy kendo stick before being speared. And Roman would win this match. And what's funny is even though we're taking a look at Roman Reigns' greatest matches as a face, ironically, he wasn't really treated as a face by fans, which is why we got the heel version, which is the Tribal Chief, and the longest reigning champion. Proof of this was at number 9, WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas. Triple H versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship in the main event. Ironically, this match was also a night where Roman was supposed to be the face, Triple H was supposed to be the heel, and it was like the crowd wasn't really into any of them. They might have been into the match, but they didn't like any of them because Triple H was the heel, and even though they tried to make Roman face, fans weren't getting into it. But it didn't stop this match from being good. Unfortunately for Stephanie McMahon, she took an accidental bump being speared accidentally by Roman Reigns, which would lead to Triple H going for the pedigree out of anger. Roman Reigns came back from that, went for the spear, and Roman Reigns would win the championship at WrestleMania 32 Dallas, Texas main event. And ironically, Dallas has been pretty kind to Roman Reigns, if you know your history. Here's another match that took place at 2015's Extreme Rules. This was at number 8, Roman Reigns versus The Big Show in a last man standing match. Now, when you're talking about Big Show versus Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules last man standing match, the first thing you have to think of is the hilarious moment. I don't know why. First off, I don't know why Big Show goes to the top rope like that. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. Big Show found himself at the top rope, and then Roman Reigns caused him to fall on his parts. And one of the most hilarious things I'm sorry, just thinking about it cracks me up. As Big Show fell on his groin and and went for that iconic yell. Oh! To this day, that moment has been a part of many try not to laugh wrestling versions on YouTube. And for good reason, because it is very hard to hold your laugh after seeing that part right there. But nonetheless, it took spearing Big Show through a barricade as well as through an announce table to keep the giant down for the count of 10. Next at number 7, we have the man who defeated Tonga last night on the episode of SmackDown. We have Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2014. Now, at this time, fans were actually into Roman Reigns, face Roman Reigns. And Randy Orton was aligned with the Authority, and those two ended up beefing together, which would lead to this match at SummerSlam 14. One of the iconic moments in this matches is when Roman Reigns would attempt to spear but would get caught with an RKO. However, Roman Reigns refused to stay down and would eventually go for a spear another time. But that time, it would actually become successful in one of Roman Reigns' biggest singles wins of his career at that time, because he was used to being a trio alliance wrestler, but now he was a one on one guy, and this was one of his top victories in singles competition. Also, going on to number 6, we have Roman Reigns aligning himself with The Undertaker to take on Shane McMahon, and here's the newest nickname, Caillou McIntyre. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard me call Madcap Moss Magic Mike Moss. You've heard me call Dominic Mysterio Simp19, as I still do. And I will continue to do that until he turns face and reconciles with his father. But we've never got a new nickname for Drew. And since he loves to complain, we are going to call him Caillou McIntyre. For those of you who watched that very dreadful show on PBS Kids back in the day, you get the reference. But going on, we have Caillou McIntyre before he was Caillou, and Shane taking on Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. And even though Roman Reigns did not get the decisive fall for the team, Roman Reigns and The Undertaker would win the match after The Undertaker dropped Shane McMahon with the tombstone for the 1-2-3. Now, this was a great tag team match as far as I'm concerned. And despite interferences from another ally of Shane McMahon being Elias. By the way, I don't know if I told you, I forgot to tell you guys this. Did anyone know that Elias is now a YouTube evangelist? Yes, Elias is now a YouTube preacher, preaching the gospel of the Almighty God. So, congratulations on the new spiritual journey of Elias. Much thumbs up and respect to you preaching the gospel of Almighty God. And now let's get forward. Nonetheless, I digress. The match between Shane and Drew with Roman and The Undertaker is a match that opened up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2019 Extreme Rules. And it was a great way to open up with two of the yard owning men taking on the corrupted alliance of the boss's son, rather. Next, another match at Extreme Rules. We have at 2014, The Shield taking on Evolution in the Passing of a Torch Trios Extreme match at Extreme Rules 2014 from New Jersey. And this was a match where we saw Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton fight in the audience as Seth Rollins went for a high flying move off the balcony onto the two members of the Shield. No, on the two members of Evolution, while Roman Reigns in ring would spear Batista to win the match for the Shield. They would also go to have an amazing trios rematch at Payback in Chicago. Next on this list at number 4, another Extreme Rules. Roman is the tribal chief of Extreme apparently, because at number 4 we have Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles at Extreme Rules 2016 in his second defense for the WWE Championship after defeating Triple H. And this was a match that, much like Roman's heel run, we would see interference from the Bloodline. And if you listened very carefully during the match, I believe it was Michael Cole who would say, after the Usos came to even the odds for Roman, after Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson interfered for AJ Styles, the Usos came in, and Michael Cole said, it's all about the bloodline. It was Michael Cole, not JBL. But nonetheless, the family came to help Roman, and we would see a sneak peek of what heel Roman Reigns would look like. But this was face Roman Reigns, and ironically, the Usos came in after the Good Brothers, the OC guys, came to help AJ. But nonetheless, in the end of this amazing match that went all over, even into the crowd, it ended with AJ Styles attempting the flying forearm, but it would be countered with a mid-air spear. There are certain people you don't want to do too much high flying with. Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. At number 3, we have The Shield in their last trios match versus Drew or Caillou McIntyre versus with Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley. And of course, Caillou McIntyre in this match would be triple powerbomb through the table, as Baron Corbin would take the triple powerbomb in the ring after a very passionate Seth Rollins would have to be censored from saying, "One more mother time, Cleveland." And so they would go for the triple power bomb, and this would be the Shield's last match together, as in months later, Dean Ambrose would go back to being John Moxley as he debuted on AEW's Double or Nothing. By the way, AEW's Double or Nothing, which is on the same date as 2019, happens tomorrow. Now, that being said, at number 2, we have Roman Reigns at Survivor Series 2019. This was when Roman Reigns led Team SmackDown against Team NXT and Team Raw. It was one of the greatest Survivor Series main events. It was a triple threat Survivor Series traditional match. And this was the night we would see Roman Reigns come to be the last competitor standing, fighting off against one of the top guys of the black and gold NXT brand at the time, Keith Lee. However, as great as Keith Lee was, he could not stop Roman Reigns, the big dog, who would be the last man standing, winning for SmackDown and showing respect to Keith Lee, who was the last person standing for NXT. And of course, even though NXT won the whole thing, that match belonged to Team SmackDown and Roman Reigns. Next, at number one, we have Roman Reigns versus John Cena at No Mercy 2017 from Los Angeles. Ironically, I want to point out something that at that the number one pick match on this list took place in Los Angeles. And we started at last place. It was Hell in a Cell 2015 against Bray Wyatt. Both matches took place in LA. So we started in LA and we're ending in LA. And even though both men were baby faces, Cena and Roman, they both were treated very hostilely by the WWE Universe at the time. And so, however, in this match, fans kind of booed Cena for a little bit, but they gravitated more towards Cena than they did Roman Reigns. However, this match was awesome. So awesome that even fans who like to boo the babyface of Cena and Roman would grow to appreciate how great the match was. I can't count how many attitude adjustments Roman Reigns survived, but he survived countless of those and a super AA and still kept coming back. Roman Reigns went for a spear through the announce table. However, you can't win on the outside. But eventually, after surviving AA after AA, not to mention, as I said earlier, the super AA from the top rope, it took one spear to keep the invisible goat down for the 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns won this match and also showed respect to John Cena. Now, those are my top 10 favorite matches of Roman Reigns' face version. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite match from Face Roman Reigns. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. And if you enjoyed this talk, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys another time on All Things Wrestling. Have a great weekend.